everyone. Welcome to the second segment of the show today. I am your host, Jamarl Thomas. The thing I want to talk about in this broadcast, Judge Jeanine, unhinged Judge Jeanine. But let's start here. For the last 2 weeks or so, we've had to deal with Omar, or Ilhan Omar, being viciously attacked and smeared as an anti-Semite. Why is she being viciously smeared in this way? And it was almost somewhat of a fait accompli. The moment that smear was uttered, it was accepted as being absolutely true with bipartisan consensus condemning Ilhan. Her critique, just so we're very clear, was an attack on Israeli lobby and financial ties and their interests in American politics. The AIPAC is a lobby like any other lobby whose goal is to influence opinion on a special interest. Whether that's oil and gas, whether that's private prisons, whether that's healthcare lobby, whatever the lobby is, their job is to pull at the political reins in a particular direction that is in their interest. That's what they do. It's just so happened in this case, she was talking about AIPAC, which is a lobby that works for the interests of the Israeli government. It is what it is. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize a lobby. But everyone has raised their criticism of this lobby and has blown it to these epic proportions as if the criticism of a lobby, which was specific to what she was talking about, is somehow a smear. And taking that as an absolute flat fact and running with it. So show after show after show just assumes that the woman is anti-Semitic because she's having a criticism about the Israeli lobby and its influence in our political affairs. The irony of it is that her criticism of this, saying that this has an outsized influence in the political affairs of this nation, kind of shows itself with all of the allegiance on bipartisan condemnation of Ilhan. It's like the thing that she uttered shows itself to be true just by the reaction of people about the thing that she uttered. There's been a few of us that have pushed back on this and said that is utter nonsense. If we want to have any real conversation about the influence of Israel in the politics of this nation, then part of that conversation has to do with financial ties of lobbies in our country in general. Not just the Israeli lobby, but in a criticism of the Israeli lobby and our allegiance to Israel, or our association with Israel in this point. If you want our foreign policy with regards to Israel to change, that's the door you're going to walk through. She's being smeared. But in this smearing, you've had a larger discussion on AIPAC's, or you can even say lobbyists' influence in our politics in general. Meaning, I don't like our relationship with Israel in this case. I don't like the foreign policy of Israel, meaning one nation subjugating or occupying another nation. If I want that to change, then yeah, that is going to be a criticism of Israel. It has nothing to do with their Jewishness. It has everything to do with their foreign policy and what they're doing, and me not liking their foreign policy. And me realizing that in order for that policy to change, things will have to change in relation to how lobbies or lobbyists have influence in our political affairs. That's what this boils down to. Judge Jeanine, Fox News. I don't have a high opinion of things that come out of Fox News, so don't misunderstand me. And even calling it news bugs me to some degree because it's not news. It's a propaganda arm of the Republican Party. Same thing is true with MSNBC, a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party in this case. But my standards for Fox News is lower. But even beyond with my standards, with the low level of standards to which I have and attribute to Fox News, they went even below that bar. It was even worse than what my standards would allow for. Judge Jeanine goes into this Islamophobic rage, this complete rant about Ilhan. And she makes the point, protecting the Democratic Party, that, look, it's not the Democratic Party that's anti-Semitic. The problem here is that she's anti-Semitic. And that her hijab bespeaks of Sharia law, and that she gives chapter and verse, and that this attendance to Sharia law may indicate that she is, to some degree, un-American, meaning she is working against the Constitution.
Your party is not anti-Israel. She is. Think about this. She's not getting this anti-Israel sentiment doctrine from the Democrat Party. So if it's not rooted in the party, where is she getting it from? Think about it. Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution?
Is her adherence to this doctrine indicative of somebody who is adhering to Sharia law, which essentially is against the Constitution? I find that to be amazing. Now, on one point, I give her credit. She's saying anti-Israel, meaning she has at the very least this understanding that Omar's criticism of Israeli state. So she's against the state of Israel. Yeah, but why? Why is she against the state of Israel? Is it possible that her criticism of the state of Israel deals with kind of a cultural difference in the way that you're making an appraisal of what Israel is versus what she's making Israel is? And that cultural perspective may be right. She may be absolutely right in that criticism. But you don't give her the benefit of the doubt for that. You go straight to this thing that her hijab may mean that she is anti-American, as if being anti-Israel is somehow fused with what it means to be an American. I find this to be a bizarre perspective and a bizarre point of view. To some degree, Fox News has rebuked her for this. So, shout out to Fox News. I do want to get into what they said here, though. Fox News, in a statement on Sunday, condemned host Jeanine Pierre's controversial statements about Representative Omar. Pierre set off a wave of backlash after the comments on Saturday night's show, Justice with Judge Jeanine, that appeared to suggest that Omar is loyal to Sharia because she's wearing a hijab. We wrongly condemned Judge Jeanine's comments about Representative Ilhan Omar. We strongly condemn, Fox News said. They do not reflect those of the network, and we have addressed the matter with her directly. Judge Jeanine responded to this. I see a lot of comments about my opening statement from Saturday night's show. I did not call Representative Omar un-American, Pierre said. My intention was to ask the question and start a debate, but of course, because one is Muslim does not mean you don't support the Constitution. But understand that, this level of questioning, this is the beat your wife question. I can start asking questions. Is Judge Jeanine heterosexual? Is Judge Jeanine a transsexual? Is she a lesbian? Has she worked in porn? You can understand that these type of questions can be asked on pretty much anything about anybody, but there has to be some level of something there to back up the question itself. This thing that you can ask questions, anybody can ask questions, yes, but that can go into really bad places. Don't be coy. Let's keep going. In critiquing Omar on Saturday, Piero, I don't know, I have a hard time saying that name. Judge Jeanine Pierre, argued that the lawmakers' alleged anti-Israel sentiment did not come from the Democratic Party. Omar wears a hijab, which, according to the Quran, tells a woman to cover so she won't get molested, Pierre said. In her adherence to this Islamic doctrine, indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which is in itself antithetical to the U.S. Constitution. As I say that, there's another bizarre point to that. And I think this is the thing that was bugging me as I'm reading this. Her initial argument started off with her anti-Israel statements don't come from the Democratic Party. And then goes into an argument of how her wearing the hijab is somehow potentially her being un-American. But the statement started off as anti-Israel. She's fusing what it means to be an American with supporting Israel. These two things are fused. These two things are forever fused. And because these things are fused, that her wearing the hijab and maybe adhering to Sharia law is indicative of somebody who is anti-American. And in being anti-American, you can understand why she's anti-Israel. That's a warped fucking way of thinking about this. But that's essentially the argument that she's making here. That's amazing. That is amazing. Being an American has nothing to do with being pro-Israel or anti-Israel. Israel is a state. This is not some kind of religious stuff. But just so you could hear, I wanted you to hear it for yourself. This woman is a lunatic. This woman is an utter and complete lunatic. I'm gonna end this here. It's funny. I did a practice video before I did this video, and I think I like the practice video better. So you may see the practice video up as opposed to this video. I'll end this here. Thanks all. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. I'll see you guys in a few.